Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is John Cowan. I'm a senior account executive here with Plex Systems, focused on the food and beverage industry. I've spent about the last 10 or so years directly selling software solutions into food and beverage, into the food and beverage industry. I'm joined today by Tom Nessen, a senior solution consultant with the food and beverage group here at Plex Systems as well. I'm going to give you a quick overview today, and Tom will be getting into the bulk of the demonstration this afternoon. This is a follow-up to, as Doug said, this is a follow-up to our session last week where Dr. Atchison, former Associate Commissioner for Food for the FDA, gave a session on the Food Safety Modernization Act and what impact it will have on food and beverage processors. Our goal today is to really explain to you how technology plays a role in helping meet some of these food safety mandates like the Food Safety Modernization Act that Dr. Atchison spoke to. And one of the comments that Dr. Atchison made in his presentation last week was that combining compliance with efficiency is the holy grail. And hopefully what we show you today is a way to apply technology, and specifically today through utilizing Plex Systems, Plex Online solution, to help you gain compliance in certain areas while also driving more efficiencies through your operations. So, you know, getting technology to help with compliance mandates doesn't have to be cost prohibitive anymore through the advancement of internet technologies. And that's what we hope to introduce to you today. So to summarize a couple of the key points that Dr. Atchison made and how technology fits in to these areas, he spent much of his presentation talking about the importance of prevention, having a recall plan, performing supplier verification, proper training with GMPs and prerequisite programs, having solid documentation, having a risk-based preventative prevention system, a HACCP. Doesn't necessarily have to be HACCP, but having a HACCP-like system in place at your manufacturing facility, and how to have or making sure that you have a documented food safety plan. Dr. Atchison said is absolutely critical that deals with prevention and corrective and preventative actions. And you better be able to produce this type of plan when the FDA comes knocking. When the FDA, you know, with this new Food Safety Modernization Act, it gives them, you know, really the most control that the FDA has ever had over the industry in terms of being able to come to your facilities, mandating that you produce these types of plans and that you are proving that you are preventing foodborne illnesses. It's also about response and having enhanced product tracking. Now, the Food Safety Modernization Act doesn't necessarily deal with enhanced product tracking today, but it still relies on the Bioterrorism Act of 2002, and that you must have a recall plan, an effective recall plan in place. And so our solutions on top of the food safety culture that Dr. Atchison spoke to, saying that really needs to be driven from the top of the organization. Solutions like Plex Systems can come in and help you apply technologies in all these different areas so that you can, again, develop your recall plans, bring HACCP-like systems into electronic format to make them much more efficient to use, being able to do lot track and trace more effectively, more easily in case the FDA or your customers or suppliers come knocking for an audit, increasing your response times, all those kinds of things, but also driving ultimate efficiencies through your plants as well. So one of the areas that Dr. Atchison talked about was the increased number of food recalls over the last few years, and you can see in 2009, 2010, it went up dramatically, but they've been steadily increasing over the years. And when that happens, government steps in and puts in place things like the Food Safety Modernization Act. In recent past, they've also put in things like the Bioterrorism Act of 2002. But this slide's here to represent that it's not just, food safety is not just about the government mandates that are being pushed upon a manufacturer, but it's also about the industry mandates that are being driven through Walmarts of this world, Targets of this world, and all the major retailers that are saying that you must comply to one of the GFSI standards. Here in the U.S., it seems to be mostly about safe quality foods and meeting that standard, but it could be, I know a lot of folks in the U.S. are using BRC or many of the other standards that are recognized by GFSI. Well, technology can help you meet these as well. And oftentimes the industry standards are stricter than the government standards. I was just recently in a session where somebody was talking about how they've applied SQF 2000 for the meat industry, and that the qualifications that they had to go through to meet those standards and to pass that audit were much stricter than what the USDA mandates. So increasingly, manufacturers are feeling the pressure from government and industry to meet food safety mandates. And ultimately, it's good for the manufacturer to help protect their brand. So how is manufacturer with typically limited resources and not endless supply of funds to meet these type of mandates, how are you going to be able to do it? Traditionally, in the past, a solution based around technology might look like this. You might tie in HACCP or a quality system onto your current environment. Maybe you bring in a statistical process control bolted on, tracking overall equipment effectiveness, plant maintenance, quality, HR skills matrices, document control, and traceability. Trying to pull all these things together into a system was really like a Band-Aid approach in the traditional fashion with old software. What this left organizations with was a lot of custom applications, a lot of still paper-based systems, which can be very difficult to manage and maintain in the event of a recall or the event of an audit where you're being asked for specific information and you're having to thumb through endless number of filing cabinets to try to get to that information. One of the things that Dr. Atchison spoke to when he was talking about the how to stay in front of change and creating a food safety culture was that using technology is absolutely key in this, and that's ultimately how we reach that holy grail, right, is applying technology to make us more efficient but meeting these regulatory mandates. And so we feel like that can be done through Plex Online and our food safety management and ERP solution. And that's what I'm going to have Tom Nesson take you into into some more details on today. So I'm going to hand it over to Tom Nesson now. If you have any questions at all through Tom's session, please don't hesitate to enter Q&A in the Q&A panel. Enter your questions, and we'll reserve a few minutes at the end of today's session to answer those questions.
All right, thanks, John, and thanks to everyone who has taken the time out of their schedule today to join us on this follow-up product demonstration from the webinar you were in last week with Dr. Atchison. We appreciate you guys being here today. I'm excited to share with you our solution called Plex Online, which addresses many of the things that Dr. Atchison talked about from a compliance standpoint. But it also addresses many, many more things that, unfortunately, in an hour's time, I'm not going to be able to show you everything, but I hope to give you a great introduction to our system and how it's helping our customers be compliant and succeed with a competitive advantage. So we start off today by looking at the key components from a food safety perspective. And it starts out with the capabilities we have around manufacturing operations management. So those things that help companies understand the complete process from start to finish of manufacturing and provides them information to fine-tune their organization with an eagle eye on efficiency. So we'll talk about that in detail. The next thing we're going to talk about is how do we close down those filing cabinets, get rid of the paper in our process, record the critical control information and quality information in a place that makes sense, that's easily accessible, and easily provided to auditors in the event there is an audit. So we'll show you how Plex Online facilitates that paperless environment. The next thing we'll talk about is really one of the holy grail issues within food safety, and that's the idea of traceability. So how do we create manufacturing genealogy so we understand what was made and we understand how to effectively recall it or withdraw it from the marketplace if necessary. And the fourth box, which is very important, is all the associated ERP functions that Plex provides. We provide over 300 modules. We'll show you some of those today. Obviously, we can't show you everything, but we want to focus on food safety and also the associated essential ERP tools within Plex. So that's where we'll start today. So let's dive a little bit deeper into manufacturing operation management. So when I say MOM, to us it means shop floor data collection, the human-machine interface within the system, maintaining and managing mobile devices, scanning, barcode scanning, RFID, all those types of things that are collecting data on the shop floor, tracking rejection, yields, co-products and byproducts, controlling allergens within our production environment, and if possible, really getting down into the machine itself to extract as much data as makes sense to associate that machine-level data with job information, inventory information, and food safety information. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, and as an example to kind of kick off the discussion around manufacturing operations management, I put a slide up here showing one of our customers using our human-machine interface to Plex Online. We call this the control panel. And the control panel is really that central point of control for all things manufacturing. So whether it's recording quality information or it's recording production information, logging in, logging out from a direct labor activity, that's what the control panel is for. And you can see the little, put my mouse over here, the blue Ethernet cable. This person is connected directly to the internet, directly to our data center, entering in production information almost directly from the line side. If she turns around, she'll probably trip over the packaging line right behind her. So I'm going to come back to this idea in just a second. What I first want to do is introduce you guys to Plex Online. What does it look like? How do you operate with it? How does it generally function? So right now I'm at the login screen for Plex Online. I provide my username and my password and my company code. And the analogy here is this is just like having a set of keys for a certain apartment within an apartment building. So when I click login, my keys to the system grant me access to 3 different systems. Edge Food, where I'll do the demo today, Acme Manufacturing, which is a separate demonstration environment, and Plex Systems, which is the system that we use to manage our own business. So we're shoulder to shoulder every day with our customers using our system just like you would be. The important thing to note here is I was given keys to the system, but you don't see the 480 some odd other customers that are currently using the same set of source code and the same database. So we have tight security between all of our customers, and we only grant access to users for the ones they have authorization for. So I'm going to go in a little further, click on Edge Foods. You saw here how we use Internet Explorer to get into the system, but we take over and change Internet Explorer pretty radically, and we provide native navigation within our system, so it almost seems exactly like a normal on-premise business system. We don't want people straying from here going to other places on the Internet. So I'm in the Edge Foods main menu. I can continue to navigate by clicking these menu node buttons, either by clicking the number or clicking on the menu node itself. I can always go to my navigation bar for my personalized shortcuts, which take me to any part of the system that I want to go to. And these would be customized based on a particular user experience or user role. Plex provides complete language translations into 10 different languages. We also provide a complete test system, so if there's an issue, you want to look at something, you want to try a new enhancement to the system, switch over to the test system. We back up your test system every night at midnight with a current copy of today's production. So we've eliminated that whole keeping systems in sync issue, which makes it really usable for our customers. So I'm going to go into the product itself. I'm going to go right to the item list and look at what we manufacture within Edge Foods. So on the top part here, I have a filter grid. I've already set my filter grid to the item family called wet salad. And I'm going to click search, and it's going to show me all my wet salad, which in this case, I've got a potato salad, I've got a fresh salsa, and I've got an ingredient here into the potato salad called mayonnaise. So these are my 3 items that resulted from my search. We're a very visual system. We like pictures. We like colors. If we have the ability to include that, we will. These images will show up on critical documents that may ship to your customer, labeling requirements that happen on the line. These images are there to be used throughout the system. Quick orientation on this line here. This is a summary view of this product. I have attributes, which are set up to be allergens. I know the item source, which is made in-house. And if I look over to the far right, you'll see this paperclip. This paperclip's important. Wherever you see it in the system, if I click on it, it immediately connects me to the fully featured document control system that's available for Plex Online customers. So in this case, for this product, the cold deli potato salad, I've attached all my prerequisite program documents. So how do I clean up the line, for instance? And I've also attached a recipe certification. So I could continue attaching documents to this record, but the important point here is these documents are always associated wherever I am in the system to the cold deli potato salad. Now, the document control system works terrific when you're attaching scanned documents while you're taking orders or invoices or other associated certifications from your supplier. We give you a document control system to manage those critical documents. Fully featured edit, check-in, check-out, revision control, everything you'd expect from a fully featured document control system. So let's go back out here real quick and drill down into the cold deli potato salad and take a quick look at a couple things. First is formulation. So what is this made of? My formula tells me that cold deli potato salad includes celery, potatoes, and onions that go through a preparation step. Here's my ratio of how many pounds I need per pound of output. And then on the third step here, I go through a mixing and a cooling operation where I add mayonnaise, pimentos, and sugar. Now, this is a variable bill of material. It's going to drive the recipe that we use out on the shop floor through the control panel itself, and we'll get to that in just a second. So this is a very important point from a formulation control standpoint. We can create a formula, we can revise it, we can store multiple revisions, we can promote and demote revisions within our system, so you always have a version of your recipe available and at your fingertips. Also, the process. So what are the steps, or what's the recipe we go through? So this one has a 6-step process. First, we go through preparation, where we bring in our celery. We go through a cooking operation, and that cook operation moves on to mixing, cooling. Looks like we've got a repeat here of 2 cooling steps. And then we go to packaging, and then we go to storage. So this is the complete process by which we make cold deli potato salad. Now, if you happen to be a food processor that has outsourcing requirements, meaning you use a co-packer or repacker, we have the ability through our system to manage all that subcontract activity directly through Plex Online. And we can also do drop shipping from those repackers or co-packers. And they can have access to the system to update you about quality, the drop shipping activity, inventory information. We provide that access through the internet just the way I logged in to your suppliers or your co-packers and repackers. So that's a quick look at how we make the potato salad. I want to show you something else that's pretty important. If I go to the item information screen, this is where we store all the information about what the product is, what the description is, who's responsible from a quality standpoint. But on all of our screens that are master data related, we have a little green book. And this little green book is the paper trail that we use to show who made what change to the product, when they made it, what the change was before, and what it was after. This is part of the DNA of Plex Systems. We have paper trails for everything. So there's never a change in the system that you can't go back and find out about, understand who made it, and potentially go back and change that setting. Very important for our system and very important for auditing purposes. So that's a quick look at the product itself, how we make it, what it is. Let's go back to the PowerPoint for a second and take a look at the control panel in a little more detail now that we know what we're making. So here's the control panel. The control panel itself is made up of a lot of pieces. Our customers help us develop this as a way to eliminate paper logbooks, bulletin boards, whiteboards, and how to control those critical things to our process like tool or gauge calibration, manage the attachment system, interface with the maintenance environment. So let's take a quick tour of this before we go back into the software, and we'll give you those key components. So let's shrink it down, and let's take a look at the details of the control panel. So I'm going to go down and we're take a tour around here. So the first thing is production recording. That's what we do at the control panel. That's really its core purpose, is what job am I working on, how much have I made, how much does it weigh, and after it's made, uniquely identifying it and locating it somewhere within our facility. And that's controlled within the control panel. We also handle quality reporting. So all of your critical control point information, cosmetic information about a product is recorded through the control panel as well. Plant and quality bulletins. So what are the things that we need to announce to our workers? Either quality bulletins about products. We have a problem with cold deli potato salad with the lot number 22223, or there's a blood drive happening this afternoon out in the parking lot. You need to take part. We're getting rid of those bulletin boards and sticky notes and all those things that you might see in a typical operation. Another one, very important, maintenance and work orders, gauge control and calibration, and the history of your quality checks. So our control panel allows the user to initiate an autonomous work request over to your maintenance department. Now, your maintenance department may be using our maintenance system to do preventative maintenance, to do scheduled maintenance, to complete checklists. But this is a way for an operator to communicate to that maintenance department for an autonomous work request. Document control access. So the documents you just saw, the PRP documents, could be accessed by someone standing at the control panel. And the last one is pretty important, and that is, I'm Tom Nesson. I have the ability to log into the control panel, but if I'm not current on my certifications to operate this machinery, or I'm not equipped to make a certain product, then the system is not going to let me log in, and it's going to bar me from recording production. Very important from a food defense standpoint. This is also a look at another human-machine interface, and this is our mobile device. So a lot of the things you see in production through the control panel and a lot of the inventory-related functions could be completed on a mobile device that's used on a handheld. So that's an important point to note as well. So now let's shift over to the system itself. Let's go down to what we call the plant floor console, where we model a version of a facility that's running tests. So here's our example facility. This is our ready-to-eat food manufacturing facility. Along the bottom part of the screen here, you see I have about 6 different mixers. I've got an injector section up here in this part of the plant, and I've got continuous oven, packing, and shipping. What this does is, if you're using our system in conjunction with PLC interfaces, we can take that information directly in our system. Every 30 seconds or so, you'll see the screen flash. What that's doing is going and getting the information about the current disposition of that part of the facility. So is it in production? Is it in setup? Is it going through a problem? And this is information that might be appropriate for people that are running the facility, your maintenance department, visitors that want to get an overview of what your manufacturing operations are. This is one tool that we provide you guys to do that with. So from here, I'm going to go into the control panel for one of these icons on the shop floor. And what we're getting down to is the control panel for the mixing operation. So in the middle part of the screen here, you see I've got job number 160. It's cold deli potato salad. It's going through the cook operation. My work center is currently in production. And here's my whiteboard over here telling me, welcome food safety seminar participants. Middle part of the screen here, if I needed to as an operator, I could pull up my attachments, which would take me right to my PRP documents and my recipe certifications that we saw earlier. I could also launch a work request. So if I have a maintenance problem, let me go ahead and quickly add a request to the maintenance department. You know, I'm having an issue, and add it into their work environment. If I go back to the control panel, you can see our suggestion system. This is a system we put in place to allow workers on the floor to provide suggestions for process improvement, allow it to be workflowed through the system for approval. It earned one of our customers about $1 million in savings directly from operator-supplied process improvements. I also have all my quality check sheets here available. I can log in and log out. If we go to the clock in, I can clock in as an operator. I can clock out as an operator. I can move a crew, change a crew, etc. What this provides is a really specific cost breakdown by operator producing a certain product within our system. So if you use this in conjunction with our time and attendance system, then we not only track indirect labor, so when did I clock in and clock out of the building, but we also track the direct labor of when did I clock into the control panel, what was I making, and how long did I spend making it. So a pretty important distinction within our system. Now what I'm going to do is take my work center and let's put it into a problem status here. So let's say I have a mixer problem. So this alerts our maintenance department. Maintenance comes back over. They fix the problem. But before I can go back into production, the system's telling me I can't select this status. I can't go back to my normal operation because a check sheet hasn't been completed. So this is the first look into how our quality system is working side by side our production system on the shop floor. It's an integrated system. It's a single system. And that's an important distinction because quality works hand in hand with production. And we'll go to that in just a few minutes. Now, on the production recording side here, if I click into this part of the screen here, again, I can't go further because my check sheets haven't been completed. So another error-proofing step. If I go in here and satisfy my measurement, in this case, I've got to measure 140 degrees as the minimum cook temperature at my critical control point for potato cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. And what you'll see here is a statistical process control chart. We're going to come back to that in a few minutes. So now I can go back into production. And once I'm in production, I'm now authorized to move forward and start a new batch of my cooked potato salad. You can see here's my my prepared ingredients, onions, celery, and potatoes that have to be provided. If I just choose to make 100, well, let's make a little bit less. Let's make 20 pounds of this, set the batch quantity. The system goes out and calculates how much we need of the raw ingredients. I can add them to the batch. So now I'm in compliance. I've measured the right stuff. We know what's going in there. And I click Done, finalize the batch. Yes, I want to finalize. And then we tell the system we've made 20 pounds. We record any process loss. We record any scrap or any bad product that's come out of this production run. But we've got a batch number now assigned to it, a unique identifier within the system, which tells us how we made this product. So now I'm going to complete the batch and move along in the process. Let's put it in a bin. Let's put it at mixer 01. And I have the ability now to update and label that. And you'll see here I've got a custom label that we use within the facility to label our product. And this is a raw material or a work in process label. Okay, so now we've made a little of that product and we've used the control panel, and I think we understand what the control panel means and how it works. Let's go back to the PowerPoint and talk about a few other things. So the next thing we move into is the idea of food safety. How do we manage food safety and quality, critical control point information, and try to make a paperless environment where it's all happening in one system, and we avoid the pitfalls where someone in a paper log environment recorded the wrong measurement for about 6 or 7 hours one day before they realized that they were out of tolerance. That results in a big withdrawal or it results in a big quarantine activity. It costs us a lot of money. How do we avoid that? What tools can a system provide to eliminate those types of errors? Well, it starts with document control. It ends with electronic assets. And in between, you have checklists and SOPs, corrective actions, critical control point alarming, the SBC chart that you just saw, and connecting it all together through a workflow so everyone in the quality mode within your organization knows about the problems and can take action to correct them before they cascade out of control. So let's go back into the system and take a look at quality from a Plex standpoint. I'm going to go back to our item list, kind of set the foundation for our quality system. So if I go back to my cold deli potato salad, one of the items on this submenu were my quality specs. So what you're looking at here are all the quality specifications that I have for the complete process of making potato salad. So I have a spec here to measure the potato temperature, measure the temperature of the potato salad after cooling. It needs to reach between 38 and 41 degrees. Check the temperature of the packaging area. Check the temperature of the cold storage area. And then at the bottom here, I have some cosmetic things that we're paying attention to. Size of the diced celery, size of the chopped onion, consistency of the mix. You can see over on the right here, I've gone ahead and labeled some of my specifications with notes indicating that it's a critical control point. So these have special significance within the operation. So if I click into this specification, you can see it's a CCP. We have a specification type that we can address. We can identify certain gauges that are required. We can track those gauges, so we make sure that the right gauge is being used, it's been calibrated or certified, and we're not using uncertified gauges. We can set up the tolerance type, and then we can configure our alerting around our statistical process control system. So within Plex, we have a complete database where we're recording SPC information, and we can alert on it. We can also create custom formulas, and we can set up an automatic HACCP plan that we'll be looking at in a second. So that's a look at the specification. Once we've defined our specifications, we need to join those to the process. So I'm going to go from my quality specs over to my quality control plan. This is where I take my process step, prep, cook, cool, package, store, and I join up my specifications with each of those steps. So if I look into detail here on the cook step, let's go back a step. You'll see here at the cook step, I have a machine identified, I have a product, I have a 140-degree minimum temperature I'm taking. Here's the temperature gauge. How many times are we sampling? What's the control method? If it goes out of control, what's the reaction plan that we initiate? This is a critical control point. And the end result of this joining of specs, the process step, is an automatic check sheet that's going to be used by the operator out on the shop floor. So if you look across here, I've got a check sheet that's going to be seen at the control panel telling the operator to take an 140-degree measurement during the batch of cooking of this product. So that's a quick look at the check sheet. If I go and view the entire control plan top to bottom, you can see how each spec behaves within the process that I identified. Now, what we're doing behind the scenes is very important as well, because if you've decided to use our electronic HACCP system, then we're dynamically creating the HACCP plan that's running in conjunction with the quality system. So if we bring this up, it will show you the framework that we've created of the hazard analysis for this part of the process. So here's our process step. Here's the potential failure that occur and the effect to the system, the severity, the occurrence, and then we calculate what we call a risk priority number. So a calculation of the overall risk to the system. And if you've taken some sort of a preventative or corrective action, and we recalculate this RPN in the hope that a HACCP system will continue to evolve and change, resulting in a higher quality system. So this is a HACCP system that we're creating in the background that's paperless, it doesn't reside in a 3-ring binder, it's actively changing with your process, and it also can go through approval steps within the system as well. So that's a quick look at the HACCP system. I'm going to go back here for a second. I want to show you your process flow chart that we've also created in the background. So this process flow from a HACCP standpoint shows cook operation, cooling operation, packaging operation, and all the things that we're looking for in each of these steps. This is a visual we're doing on the shop floor. All right, so let's go back to the control panel. I want to highlight one thing here, and that was that quality check tweak. So if I click on the middle part of the control panel, here's that check sheet we're monitoring during the production of this product. And as I take the temperature measurement of 140 degrees and add the check sheet, we hit on this briefly before, but this is our SPC system in action. So it's currently showing me a historical view of all the measurements on an individual's chart, shows me the upper control limit, lower control limit, and if we violate those based on these alert factors, we can alert a quality manager within our facility to start taking action to quarantine product or correct the process that's currently in place. So that's our SPC system embedded within Plex. And from there, I'm going to go back over to the PowerPoint again, and we're going to talk about another key part of the system, and that's the idea of traceability. If we've done a good job with manufacturing operations management and recording production on the shop floor, then traceability for us is just second nature. It's immediate, it's quick, it's detailed, it gives you everything you need to know to provide to an auditor, as well as quickly quarantine product that you may be alerted to by one of your customers. So we want to track the product genealogy, we want extended supply chain tracking, we want to track allergens if necessary, but most importantly, reduce the scope of that recall. Now, I'm going to give you a quick example if we do that. And I start with my favorite example, which is the cookie. Now, cookies made up a lot of ingredients. There's about 42 of them on the screen. The two I've called out are vanillin and gum arabic. So these are two ingredients. One is a stabilizer, one's obviously a flavoring. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the tale of those two ingredients, because they've traveled a long way throughout an extended supply chain before they've reached potentially your business. So gum arabic, I don't know if you do this, but originates in Central Africa. It's picked off of a tree in a sap form that dries and falls on the ground, picked up by local farmers, put into a bag, and shipped to a food additives processor. From there, the food additives processor turns it into gum arabic that you use in your products. That's used by potentially a candy maker. Candy maker ships it up to, say, Kroger, where Kroger makes the cookie and sells it to their customers. Likewise, the vanilla has traveled a very long way as well. So vanilla makes, if it's part of 98% of the world's vanilla supply, it starts out in Madagascar, again, off the eastern coast of Africa. The bean travels to a processor where it's converted into an extract. That extract makes its way, again, to the candy maker. The candy goes into the cookie. It goes up to Kroger where it's made into the delicious cookie that we all would buy in the grocery store. That's a lot of steps, a lot of complexity, a lot of information that needs to be stored through the supply chain. How do you track the individual ingredients through your four walls and understand the one forward and one back rule that's currently in place for traceability? Well, here's an example within Plex of a traceability tree that's been exploded out, showing all the ingredients at the top: vanilla, flour, salt, sugar, etc., going through a dough operation. The dough operation goes through a cut operation that goes through baking and then through packaging, and that individual package is now going to a customer. So this is what the traceability looks like in Plex if we've done a great job of recording production out on the shop floor. Likewise, we can go from an individual ingredient all the way down to all of what's shipped to a customer. So in this case, we've got one, say, 5-gallon bucket of shortening that went into the dough process. The dough was split up into many cut operations, baking, and then we ship some of that to our customer because we indicate those in blue. So how do we do that? Well, it all starts with great control of ingredients at the start of the process. What you're looking at here is a picture from one of our customers, Cuisine Solutions, who makes ready-to-eat foods, commissary-type foods, and they use a lot of small quantities of a variety of ingredients, whether it's cinnamon or nutmeg or salt, pepper. Each one of the raw material canisters that contains one of those ingredients is labeled with a unique barcode. Every time they take a scoopful of it, the barcode is scanned. It's scanned to a cart. The cart's taken to the mixer, and before it's dumped into the mixer, Plex is involved in scanning that raw material, that ingredient, into the process. And that's how we build those detailed traceability trees. So it's important for you guys to understand that. Now, what I'm going to do is go over to the inventory system again, and we're going to bring up the product we just made. So at the control panel, we made a batch ending in 4707, and I'm going to click search and see what we have. Okay, well, here's our product. We were at the control panel. It was the cook operation. We produced this batch of cooked potato salad. It related to this job, so there was a distinct job that it was associated with. We made 20 pounds. We put it at Mixer 01 as a location, and because we're monitoring shelf life and we have the ability to expire our products, we're calculating the expiration date as well. Likewise, if I see a barcode here, I can click that and reproduce any of the barcodes that you saw on my products. That's available immediately. But what we want to look at is this product in detail. So if I click this, it's batch 4707, and I've got a lot of information in a very detailed fashion about who made the product, when it was made. But over here, I've got even more information about this inventory. So the first thing I have is traceability information. So this one's pretty simple, but I think you get the idea that as we went through that control panel, we used some product. The product went through preparation, and then it went through cook. Now, as we continue this product through its process, this tree will continue to grow and change. But we're always connecting dots on every piece of information that you're recording within our system. So the traceability tree is very important. We also, likewise, have recorded the quality check information. So with this batch, we now have the check sheet that we recorded traveling with that inventory information in the system. So you can see here, measure the cooked potato temperature, 140 degrees. Tom Nesson took that measurement at 226, which was about 10 or 15 minutes ago. So we're joining together quality information with inventory information, with production information, all in one place, eliminating all that cross-referencing, all that paper storage, putting it in one system so it's immediately available for you to reference. So another thing we'll pull up here is, actually I think we've hit the end of the traceability thing. What I want to do now is show you an example of how do we react to a product that comes in or we're notified by a customer that might be tainted. So let's go over to our ship history. Actually, let me bring it up this way. Ship history. And let's say that we have a customer, Nylanders, who calls us, and they tell us, you know, we got some of your hot dog buns, but it seems to be making some of our customers sick. The information we have about it is we've got lot number, we've got your shipper number on here. We can tell you a little bit about the product, but I need you to take some action because I think we've got a problem with this product. So as a user of Plex, I can quickly bring up the shipper, and I know that we shipped it to Nylanders, and we billed it to Nylanders, and I know it shipped on, looks like March 18th of 2010, but at the very bottom here, I have information about the inventory item that I sent them. So I know that we shipped them either batch or unique serial number 137. So if I bring this information up, you're going to see the inventory system again. So here's the batch 137. I have a lot number that was assigned manufacturing, and I can quickly take that and go back to an inventory search and bring up every associated product with that lot number. Click search. Oh, here we go. Looks like we have a lot of inventory for these hot dog buns. So here they are, hot dog buns, 12-pack. We've got some that are going through sheeting and forming, some that are currently in the bake process. A lot of them have been packaged, but it looks like most of them haven't shipped out to the customer. Now, if we turn the active flag on and search for the same serial number, okay, you can see that one of them has shipped to the customer, and lo and behold, that's the one we were interrogating before. I'm going to turn the active flag back on. Now, as a quality control person, I'm going to take action to quarantine this product. So I use my mass update button at the top. I indicate that the status we're going to is non-conforming, and I also indicate that we're going to indicate a customer complaint, which is going to launch another part of Plex called the problem control system. So we're going to capture the inventory information. We're going to capture the details about the problem, and then we're also going to workflow it through the system so we can take the proper action and then take the appropriate corrective action through Plex to make sure this doesn't happen again. So I'm going to click the update button. I'm going to be taken into another screen that is initiated a customer complaint. Number 19, I'm going to record information about it. I've got the inventory serial numbers that are affected. I've got corrective actions that I can institute from here, and how do we verify the action's been taken, who's involved from a responsibility standpoint, and I can store and manage this throughout the system. So that's a quick way that we can take information about a product that our customer has, take action from an inventory standpoint to try to isolate this product. Now you can see we have this all in non-conforming status, so this won't be able to be shipped. It won't be able to be used in the next process. It's essentially isolated from every other piece of the system. Now, one other loop I want to take you guys through this afternoon, beyond traceability, is the tools that we have to provide top floor to the shop floor control to all of our customers. I'm going to go back out to the main menu of Edge Foods, and I'm going to go to Executive Management. I'm going to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to bring up a, let's see here, it's 06/2011. Let's go with the previous 30 days information and click search. One of the things we pride ourselves in Plex is the idea of a single system to manage all of the associated food safety issues, as well as all of the other activity within Plex. So you're looking at a dashboard that was created for demonstration purposes to show how we can bring diverse information together in a way that really makes sense for somebody who has to critically analyze data within the system. So if we're looking at the top part of the screen here, we're bringing in information from our accounting and finance system. So Plex has a complete AP, AR, GL system, supplier management, procurement and purchasing, MRP, production scheduling. This is just a snapshot of the projected cash on hand for the next 30 days. Over here on the right here is the roll-up information about how we're performing on the shop floor. As we go down the screen here, you can see we can chart many other things in a very attractive way, whether it's net income, number of deliveries, quantity of scrap or rework. But from this screen, I can drill down to each of these charts. So by clicking the Work Center Analysis and bringing up the previous 30 days, bring it up for all of our mixers, and click Search here, you can see I have a lot of production time that we've recorded in our facility and a little bit of problem time. If I click into that problem time part of the graph here, we're going to bring up detailed information about either motor or mixer problems. If I go down another level deep here, you can see I've recorded exactly what has happened at the control panel, who the operator was, what the issue was, and potentially we can calculate the associated cost with the downtime. So this is a look at the Work Center log that we've created from the control panel activity. I'm going to go back up a couple screens, and I'm going to click on something we did good. So we made some OK product here, and you can see here at 2:26 p.m. today, we cooked cold belly potato salad. We produced 20 pounds of it, and I was the operator. So from here, if I want to look a little further at the production we've recorded, I've got the information about production, and I can take a next level deep look at this inventory, and this is where we were before, the inventory container. And I can look at, if we have it, it's like we don't have cost records set up, but I can look at the actual quality check sheets that were recorded. So within about 5 or 6 or 7 clicks, I've gone completely from the executive dashboard at the highest level. I'm going to start working it back up to that level. I've gone all the way down to the most detailed information that's available within the system without having to go to multiple systems, without having to go to the filing cabinet, without having to collate information. I've got it all here at my fingertips because that's what Plex is. It's a single system for quality control, food safety, ERP, everything you need to manage your business. So let's go back out to the PowerPoint here for a second. And I want to wrap up just on that topic of ERP. Now, this is the area where, today we're not going to have a chance to go into a lot of these areas. But I want to make sure everyone realizes that we do provide a full HR system. We do track employee skills, and we make sure that those employees are able to do the correct things within the system. We do have a visitor log. We can track people in and out of your facility. We have a supplier approval and verification system, so we can make sure that the right suppliers are shipping products into our supply chain, and we can score them with scorecarding to keep track of their performance. Accounting and finance, that's a key part and an embedded part of our system. We also do advanced product costing, actual and standard costs. We have a full CRM system. We can monitor leads and opportunities and customers, all customer communications, just as you would expect in any CRM system. We talked briefly about the maintenance management system. We have a full maintenance system, preventative maintenance, PM scheduling, frequency, bills of material for your equipment, MRO purchasing, and also standard purchasing within the system. So Plex is a very wide and broad system and very deep in functional areas that are appropriate to processors and manufacturers. So with that, I'm going to bring everything back up on the screen here, and I'm going to go down to the next level here where we're going to kind of bring home the message of Plex Online is a fully featured food safety management solution and ERP system for your business. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to John Cowan, and he's going to finish up the presentation here.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And I'm going to take us just to a couple ending slides here. We appreciate everyone staying with us just a couple more minutes. Again, if you have any questions, please submit them through the Q&A panel. So we've shown you a lot of things today. We've recapped where Dr. Atchison has been with the Food Safety Modernization Act, and we've taken you through a lot of functionality that Plex offers that can help with this. Hopefully what we've shown you today is that, when we talk about prevention and response, the prevention really means error-proofing, and there's a lot of checks and balances within Plex that helps you not only in the event that there is a recall, but ultimately helps you with the key point of these legislations and new audit standards out there around prevention. It's really all about prevention, and hopefully you see that Plexus will enable that. But the coolest thing about this is that we give you all this great functionality to help you meet all these industry mandates, but traditionally that would have taken an awful lot of money in order to get that type of functionality in your system, sometimes 6 and 7 figures worth to acquire this type of capabilities. But with the event of the Internet, we can bring these capabilities to you for a low monthly subscription, and that's very powerful, and that's what Plex Online is. It's an enterprise food safety management ERP system delivered through the cloud. So that's very powerful. For those that aren't familiar with the cloud, when we talk about the cloud or software as a service, you can think of it as Gmail, if you have a Gmail account, something like that, MapQuest or online mapping software. Well, business software has moved this same direction, where it's being able to access your information, your system, anywhere, anytime, from any device. And that's really the power. So there's a lot of benefits to that. Some of those are, like I talked about before, you don't have the expensive upfront cost of all this software. You just get it through a monthly subscription fee. Let us be an extension of your IT department where you don't have to procure the infrastructure, the hardware, and all the software, because that's very expensive. Then you're left with managing and maintaining that over time. Well, in traditional software, it's customizations. With Plex, it's really about innovation. We're innovating and adding to the software every single day. So don't think of it in the old model as customizations and applying updates and new versions. Think of it as innovations to the software that are coming in every single day. Because every day you're on Plex Online, you're on the latest version, you're up to date, and we're constantly innovating within the system. Productivity is higher because you can access the system anytime, anywhere, from any device, like we said before. Ultimately, all of this combined helps reduce lower total cost of ownership. You can optimize IT departments, and we can help you drive efficiencies. And this is also a much more flexible type environment, so that as business requirements continue to change, right, legislation's continuing to evolve with the FDA. It's much easier in this environment to shift as those types of mandates shift, or as the industry decides that they're going to take a shift in how things are mandated. You can more easily change to and adapt to those standards. So, we ultimately believe that giving you all this functionality and technology ultimately gives you a competitive advantage. And when we go back to the original question that Dr. Atchison mentioned about how do you gain compliance while achieving efficiencies, and that's ultimately the holy grail. We believe that Plex Online helps you achieve that through our technology. So with that, I'm going to answer any questions. So I guess we've got one question here, Tom, about continuous production, and how do you handle continuous production 24/7 instead of batch operation?
Oh, great question. And while I can't show you, obviously, right now on the screen, I can talk about it a little bit. The control panel that you saw in today's presentation obviously is set up for more of a batch or piecework operation. We have customers, and every one of our customer sites across our 500 customers uses a different version of the control panel. So we have versions of that control panel that can address continuous production or process control, process production differently than you saw handled today. So I think that's a great question. I love the opportunity to set up that scenario for you and show you how Plex can address that. So I guess the answer is control panel is flexible, and we need to set it up that way to show you guys. I've got a couple questions here, John, that were here from previously through email. So one question I have here was, can I get, since you are an internet-based application, how do I give access to my customers and suppliers? And that's a great question. That's one we come across quite a bit. We do encourage people to, or encourage companies to open up the system to their suppliers and their customers. We don't license our software in a traditional sense. We encourage you to provide access to everyone in your organization without fear of reprisal or limits on number of users. We encourage that because we feel that the more people that have access, the better data you're going to have within your system. So within Plex, from a technical standpoint, providing customers user IDs and passwords, providing suppliers user IDs and passwords allows them to have access to your version of Plex, but also restricts them to certain functional areas within the system. So we want to make sure that they do have access, but they're doing the right things in the right way and are not given the keys to the castle, so to speak. Next question I have here that came in was, how do you handle data backup and how much data do you keep on hand? Within Plex, whether it's document control or production data or it's historical data about quality information, we don't archive, we don't have a history system. We keep everything in the production system for as long as you're using Plex. So there's no need to worry about data that is older that still needs to be accessed. It's always available within Plex. Now, there are some customers that have requirements about data purging, and we address that as with any system, but keeping a history system separate from production is not an issue with Plex. That's all the questions I have here, John. So if you've got any more, ask away. Otherwise, it looks like we're finished.
No, it looks like that concludes the Q&A piece. I would like to invite each of you to our next session in our ongoing seminar series. It will be hosted by Matthew Littlefield, who is an analyst at Aberdeen Group, and he will talk about best practices in traceability. So we hope you join us for that seminar. That one will not be focused at all on Plex systems. It is simply a industry thought leader and giving you information on how the best companies that are applying traceability and compliance practices, how they're doing it. So it should be a very informative session. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar session. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us at any of the addresses on the screen. You can also reach us at info@plex.com. So again, we thank you for joining us today. This session has been recorded. If you're interested in the recording, please reach out to us and we'll make sure that we get that out to you. Thank you for joining and have a great day.